Hello and welcome to a post-match reaction to the Hurricanes versus the Blues. And to give you an idea as to my kind of post-match reaction, as you can see, I've got a Blues jersey on. But I tell you, at half-time, I had the Chiefs hoodie hiding it because, boy, oh boy, it was not pretty in that first half. Hi, I'm Paul from New Zealand Sports Radio, and this is our reaction show. Our actual review show will be tomorrow night at 8 p.m. We'll go through all four of the Super Rugby games, but today just for Hurricanes versus the Blues. Folks, let me know in the live chat who you thought your player of the match was in this, who stood out for you for the Hurricanes, and also who stood out for you for the Blues. Because boy, oh boy, it was, yes, a game of two halves, as they like to say. Look, the Blues kicked off this game and started very well and scored early. It's kind of what they do, isn't it? They do that all the time, or they do that quite frequently. But then that was it for the first half. They scored 7 points in the first 3 minutes, and that was all there was to it. They had lots of opportunities down in the Hurricanes 22. Let's be honest, plenty of opportunities, and really did not convert. Look, one of the things we said in our preview show was that that the Blues have the ball carriers in Hoskins Sotutu, in Akira Ioane. They really do, but they have to make sure that they go into contact properly and get their cleaners there, get that technique right, because otherwise they'll get turned over. Plenty of turnovers from the Blues, 12 turnovers conceded, as we saw players like Artie Surveyor really getting their hands in there and turning it over. Was he 100%? No, he wasn't. But he had a really good game, both defensively and attacking, living on the edge like good sevens do. Karifi as well. He saw a yellow card there in two cards in this one. Let's remember both of them for the Hurricanes. 15 penalties conceded by the Hurricanes, 12 by the Blues. The Blues also had 2 free kicks. So 29 infringements in this game. Boy, oh boy, the ref had plenty of whistling to do in this one. Straight after that, though, I mean, one of the stand-up players, Cameron's mentioned Jordy Barrett for the Hurricanes, and as they wanted to mention was, he's going to be stepping up into that first receiver role and playing in that kind of role as well. And we saw him doing that in this one. He took on the kicking duties, and we'll have a quick chat about one of his kicks because, boy, oh boy, the cameras gave a different opinion to the referees. And joining me, I have Stephen Harris. Well, we did say last night that the Blues boys would only be on if the Blues won, but performance would have put you off on this one, Stephen.
Well, to be honest, Paul, and good evening, everybody. I actually thought somebody was going to join you, but you looked a little lonely sitting there, so I thought I'd join you. I thought I'd join you anyway. See, I even got the fly spray in the background just in case it all turned to custard, mate. So, weird sort of game, I must admit. In my own mind, I was thinking somewhere in there the Blues were probably going to find somewhere to actually blow that, but I couldn't quite work out whether it was the Blues being that little bit better or the Hurricanes just really being the majority of their team. Whilst there were a couple of star performers in the Hurricanes, you've got to say that probably the rest of the team, the majority of the team didn't really front up.
Yeah, in both sides, the tackling this game was poor. 79% by the Hurricanes, 83% by the Blues. And that's what let the Hurricanes back, or that's how the Hurricanes got back into this one. Is the Blues' first up tackling, particularly that first 20 minutes, was poor. Let's be honest. They had covering tackles which saved them, but their first up ones weren't there. And we saw Amua having, we've already mentioned Jordy Barrett. Amua had another cracking one. Artie Surveyor had a cracking one. But Amua, he showed some good feet to totally bamboozle Caleb Clark and to go through and score. He got another one later on as well off the back of a maul. And you got to say, with Dane Cole's injured, he's getting himself. He's putting some pressure on Cody Taylor for that All Blacks jersey if he keeps on this kind of form, isn't he?
Oh, very much so, Paul. And you've got to say, they're not. We all know they're not the tallest or biggest line out the Hurricanes, but he was throwing some pretty good darts tonight as well. That shouldn't be underestimated. And of course, we've always known about his ball carrying ability, but listen, he smashed through his opposite, Kurt Eklund, early, and of course he went through Caleb Clark, and we know that Caleb Clark good with ball in hand, but probably not the All Black winger's best performance, you've got to say.
No. Look, yeah, 10 out of 11 of his lineouts were good. Because he also played the full 80 as well, which is another thing. So a big shift from him. Whereas Kurt Eklund, better known for his arrows, and admittedly he got replaced, but the Blues lost 3. So yeah, a good lineout day for the Hurricanes, as you say, and not the tallest team around either on that one. Looking at the player stats then, who were the people missing those tackles? Blackwell. He had a bit of a poor game. 5 missed tackles, 7 made. Picked up a yellow card for repeat infringements as well. Not his best day at the office, and hence why he got pulled, even though they didn't really have any proper lock replacements on the bench. Hence, their height came right down. A couple by Barrett, a couple by Houston, a couple by Bill and Bishop, but you expect the backs to miss a couple of tackles every now and then. For the Blues, Cowley Tuoti missed 3, and we saw him pulled early in the second half for Jack Goodhue there. Patrick Tuipulotu, 10 made, none missed. Another captain's performance, not in a flashy way, but just getting the basics right and keeping his troops pretty much under control, because we know players like Akira Iwani can get a bit hot-headed and can get involved in afters, but they managed to keep their cool tonight, the Blues.
Well, I think what they bring to the table also with Patrick Tuipulotu, really abrasive tackling, which actually, listen, if you can't slow the ball down, the next best thing you can do is actually drive somebody back, which buys yourself a little bit of time to realign your defence, and that's what he does very well. I thought Akira Ioane was very strong in the tackle, and it just slowed any sort of momentum that the Hurricanes weren't able to get during the game. Yeah.
A couple of, on the penalty count, which I talked about earlier, also Blackwell, 4 penalties, Karifi 3. Karifi wasn't even on for half a game. And we know Karifi plays on the edge, but boy, oh boy, to come on after half time, get a yellow card, take 10 minutes break, and still be the second most penalties out of anybody in the game, tells you he was getting it wrong tonight. On that, I do like him normally, but yeah, he got the wrong side of the line early on, and this was a rusty game. I mean, one of the things I put in our group chat was soap hands in that first half, because boy, it turned into some. There were lots of knock-ons. The Blues had plenty of opportunities to make points. Didn't take their threes. The Hurricanes did the right thing. Not very many opportunities to take points, but they took their threes when they could.
Yeah, no, I go along with that. I mean, there's some very good players, even Nani Lamapi, who normally has really good hands. Just to see him just dropping the ball cold, and a couple of others as well. Yeah, they were often timing. There were times, especially during that first half, with a couple of set plays that the Blues backs looked like they'd met in the car park, Paul. Such was the mistiming, not quite getting it correct. So it's something that they will have to address when they play, I was going to say the better teams, but really after watching these 2 games, there is only one team that they will have to be right on their game. And of course, that's the reigning champions, Paul.
Well, hang on. We've not seen these guys yet. These guys could be great.
True. We very, very, very much so, and mighty decent of them to give you a media pass as well. So that makes them maybe.
Well, I hope so. I've not actually got it yet, but I think I'm going to get it. So for next weekend.
Well, maybe
fingers crossed.
Maybe that makes us their second team now, but Paul, seeing they're supporting it.
That may be very, very, very true. Blackwell had a shocker. The second half, now look, it blew out to 31-16, but let's be honest, that was when the Hurricanes were chasing it. Rieko Iwani showed us that he knows how to score a try, didn't drop it this time, which was good to see. And put it down. But let's be honest, he got that try because the Hurricanes were chasing the game. But so good to see him. He showed his pace, and it shows that he can still score wingers tries, because that's what it was. A wingers try.
And he's also showed he's got antics to go as well, which I don't know if I always agree with it. It'll probably create a little bit of criticism, but I'm sure there's another really big talking point we'll get to as well that you picked up in our group chat, Paul. But I'd have to say overall, if there was one area where I think the Blues coaches will be extremely pleased with it, is their set piece scrum, because I think they probably had dominance throughout the whole 80 minutes at scrum time, and it's probably a credit to the Hurricanes that they were able to sort of sometimes clear that ball when their scrum was completely under pressure. And I suppose that's the beauty when you have three All Black props that you can call on, but also James Lay putting in a really good effort against the only All Black in the front, or the All Black prop in the front row, Terrell Lomax.
Yeah, absolutely. So are you talking about the kick by any chance? That's as a discussion point. So okay. An hour into the game, Amua comes off the back of a line out. Moore scores a try. It's 16-21. So just a 5-point difference there. Jordy Barrett has a kick from wide out, and he it gets called as over by the commentator. But the flags stay down from the officials, and it's like, hang on a second, what's going on here? Because it looked, for all money, from the TV angle, that it had gone over. Listening in to what the commentator said, that the officials said, was that the ball had gone higher than the posts, and in their opinion, it would have hit the post. It wasn't inside the post, and therefore it was disallowed. Something that we very rarely see, because modern posts are very high. But Jordy Barrett, he has got an absolute howitzer of a boot on him, and he practically cleared the Sky City Stadium stands out there. So obviously, slight exaggeration, but they're the best people on the ground. But I was going to say that's going to cause a lot of controversy, because all the camera angles, the optical illusion or whatever, made it look like it was over. So the officials are going to get it in the neck, because that would have closed it down to a 3-point game, which would have made it a lot more interesting, because then Plummer missed a penalty. Terry Black's penalty wouldn't have made it a 2-score game, and meant that the Hurricanes could have played a different style, and hence we wouldn't have necessarily got that Rico Warning try. So this scoreline really is a 1-score game with someone chasing at the end of the day, isn't it? Even though it's a try bonus point. Yeah,
very much so, Paul. And I think it's probably fortunate that it didn't come down to a 1-try score, or maybe, for example, a 2-point win, where then that becomes really the focus at the end of the day. Because I think I've got to say, it was probably, I think the Blues did enough to probably show they were the better team this night. Whether that final score may have flattered them a little bit, I don't really know. But I think once they took the best of their opportunities in this game, and they probably were the better team. But like you say, I think a lot of work for not just the Blues, but I think both of these sides moving forward.
We've seen two teams now this weekend who have looked like they're more likely to score be trailing most of the game. In the Reds, that just overcame the Rebels last night, the Reds looked more likely to score the whole game, but just weren't. And again, tonight, the Blues, in that first half, may have looked more likely to score. The Hurricanes really didn't look like they were going to add any more tries to it. Amua's beautiful skill apart. But it doesn't matter how good you look like you're going to score if you don't actually score. And that's so from that point of view, yes, it does flatter them, because they they had the pure, they could have put 50 odd points on here if they put away their opportunities, but they didn't. And that's the big thing here. So this score flatters them because they just weren't clinical enough to put away their opportunities that they managed.
They'll probably be more than happy aesthetically to walk away with the five points, and that'll take them to the top of the table. But so much to work with. I suppose on the upside though, Paul, we spoke about, if you need to win these games of rugby, you need at least half of your team firing, and I think probably tonight the Blues had the majority of their guys firing. Patrick Tuipulotu was very good. I thought Dalton Papali'i was really good as well. Akira Ioane had his moments. Probably not the best game. I think I might have put somewhere in the chat, is this the case of second-year Blues for Hosking Satutu? I don't think he was very accurate in this game, but in the main, I think they probably had enough good contributors on the night. we probably didn't really see enough. There was a lot of concern about Plummer before the game, but he showed a couple of nice touches. I still don't think he's the answer in that midfield for the Blues. I thought Perifeta was good tonight. A couple of little wrong options here and there, but in the main, pretty good. Looks a lot better at fullback with that attacking space. And I thought out of the wingers, I thought Mark Talia may have just shaded Caleb Clark on the night.
And look, I think one of the big things here is, so Harry Plummer did what he was there to do. He got the ball. He didn't run the ball ever. He did 5 passes. He just shuffled it on, which is kind of what you want him to do. He made 4 tackles, missed 1. Yeah, the thing is, none of the Blues had a shocking game. They all had okay games, and then a couple of guys stood up. For the Hurricanes, a couple of guys had poor games. Had some pretty shocking games actually. And whilst other players did stand up, you can't have some players really asking the others to carry that much extra weight. And that was the problem in that one. I think is kind of the big piece there. I think that's probably most of it now. Folks, don't forget that you've got the Brumbies versus the Waratahs coming up. So I'll be watching that one in bed. So no post-match reaction to that one, folks. Back again tomorrow evening at 8 p.m. where we'll properly dissect the games. This is more of our emotional reaction than anything else at this one. And as Stephen says, a massive amount of relief for the Blues supporters. Happy with 5 points, not happy with the performance. The Blues have a bye week next week, so they've got 2 weeks to sort that out. And the coaches have got a lot of work to do. I think is probably, to sum it up, for the Hurricanes, yes, that lightweight pack came to be a problem, and a couple of them didn't work well about that. The Jordan Clark has just mentioned, says the Blues got a bye week in lockdown. Well, we'll see. Apparently, there's a Prime Minister's announcement at the moment, so I guess there's some COVID stuff happening in Auckland, unfortunately, folks. And hopefully you do all stay safe and well. Stephen, thank you very much for joining me.
No, not a problem at all. I'm pretty sure in your extended show tomorrow night, we'll talk a little bit more about yellow cards, no referee challenges, and I'm trying to think if there was a goal line dropout. Probably not.
Not in this one. But yes, yellow cards. Yeah, we had one for cynical, one for multiple. And at 15 penalties, you can't really complain about that. But then again, 13 by the Blues. Should they have had a yellow as well? There was an awful lot of penalties in this one. You're quite right. I will be putting my argument together that every 5 yellows should equal a red, in my opinion. That way, you'd make players be think about. Every 5 penalties is a yellow card, in my opinion. That way, you'd make players really think about whether they should join that ruck or not.
Paul, just before you go, probably a question that should be asked is: should Akira Ioane have got a yellow card, given that he committed two of the same offences in dual penalties in a row?
Well, he was lucky in the fact there were advantages; they weren't actually penalties, and in one of them it was a try. So if there hadn't been the try, yes, you're quite right. He probably would have. That's part of our outcome officiation that we have, rather than that we see in the game, folks. So Jordan has let us know. Apparently, it's level 3 for 7 days for Auckland. Everyone in Auckland, hopefully, please stay safe and well. And we will catch you all tomorrow for the review show.